In this video, I'm going to show you an example of how to fill in an information resource for a bibliography type. In this case, I'm using a book. In the tutorial in PDF format, there are a few more examples of different types of bibliography type, things like journal articles. But essentially, it works very similar for all of them. So if the resource type is a bibliography type, you then have to fill in the bibliography tab and not the imagery, cartography, or shared data tabs. To fill in this tab, I click here. This opens all these fields. I can also see them in the card tree. For this, initially I have to click on the plus beside here. I've already done this in this case, and this has opened all these fields here. So I can either fill them in over here and going through by scrolling down, or I can go through them one by one like this. It's up to you. So firstly, I'm going to go to the author name or authors. This field is a bit different from the previous version of the database, but similar to the assessor name in this current version of the database, in that it used to be a free text field, but now it is related or linked to a person organization record. So it works the same as for assessor. It's basically a very long drop-down menu linked to these person organization records. So I'm just going to type the name. In this case, I'm going to enter the Body Hasse survey volume, which is written by Burton MacDonald. So I'm going to type in name to see if he's already in the database, and it seems that he is. Of course, there could be multiple B. MacDonalds, but I know actually in this case it's this person. So I can just click here and this will add the name. And then I could click on add. If the name was not in there, I could add it just like you would do for an assessor name. So if I would type it and if I would find that it wasn't there, I could create a new person organization and type in the name there and add that. We have inherited from the old database various formats of how names are written. If you enter a new name, we would like you to enter it in the first name, last name format. So I would enter it like this instead of having the last name first or something like that. I'm not going to add this in this case because in this case I should go to the person organization record that exists and edit it there instead. But just to show you how this works. Right, so when I've added the person, I'm going to click on add, and this adds the author name, and it's possible to have multiple authors. So then I would just click here and add the next one over there. Okay, so it froze there for a moment, but it's okay now. So then we go to the next field, which is publication date. This is also a field that you would really always fill in when you have a bibliographic resource. So as with all the other date fields in the database, I can click on it. It automatically brings me to today's date, but by clicking here, and then again, I can navigate through. In this case, it was written in published in 1988. So I can click there. If you don't know the month or the day, just use January the 1st. So this is what I'm going to do now. And then I add this and it appears here. So there should only be one date added. The publication title is also mandatory, and here this is entered just exactly as it is, and we don't use capitalization except for names of places or projects, which actually in this case means that everything will be capitalized, because this is the title. Almost everything is capitalized at least. Because this is the project name, 1983, and this is a place name. So then I will add this. You would also only have one publication title per record. The next field is the editor field, which you would use if you have, for example, a chapter in a book. You would add the editor or editors here. In this case, this is not relevant. This is just a free text field, so it's not linked to any person organization record. The source field is also not relevant in this case, but it would be relevant for a journal article where you would add the journal title here, or for an edited volume where you would add the title of the whole book here. The place of publication is relevant for a book. In this case, it is Waterloo, and this is the format that we use, so we enter the country as well. And again, you would normally have one place of publication. The publisher is also relevant for a book, but would, for example, for a journal article, you wouldn't really add this, right? So it really depends on what is relevant for your resource. Just like when you do a bibliography under your article or something like that. The volume is something that you would use also for like a journal article, for example. Same for issue. The page numbers for a chapter or a journal article. And what's important to remember here, so it's not relevant in this case because it's a whole book that I'm referring to, but what's important to remember is that we always write them out completely. So if I had the page numbers 256 to 319, I would write them out completely, or to give you a better example, if the page numbers were 256 to 259, I would still write this completely and I would not do this. Right, so I would do this instead. In this case, I'm going to cancel this edit because as I said, I'm referring to the complete book. For figures, this is actually quite rare to enter. This is only used when you are filling in this resource specifically for this figure. So it's not when the resource just has many figures, this is only when it's specifically one figure really that you're entering. So yes, this is quite rare, but it can occur sometimes. You can probably find some examples in the database. So that's the whole record, or the whole bibliography card rather, done for this. For books, or generally bibliographic resources, you might have a URL. If you have accessed this online, you should add a URL here. And you can see in the tutorial about the last few cards how you should do this exactly. The location is often not relevant. It could be perhaps if the book was about a specific place, you might want to add the location, but it's optional in that case. You would normally not add a file really not to a book at all, but also not to a journal article because of copyright issues, right? So you would just enter the information like you would do in a bibliography, but you wouldn't add the actual file. Even if you have it, you probably don't have permission to upload it here. Additional information, you can write some comments. We don't normally do this for a book. It's more common, for example, for a photograph. So this is all you need to know for adding bibliographic resources. And as I said, for more information, you can look in the PDF.